about the market structures, and today I will be discussing with you the remaining two types of market structures, and out of the remaining two, our first one is the monopolistic competition. And you can see in this slide there are few pictures of and examples of monopolistically competitive industries. One is the saloons industry, clothing industry, the groceries and the restaurants. What can you see about these particular industries? If you take saloons in the country, how many number of saloons are there in this country? Can you count and see? No, it's difficult because it's very large in quantity. And if it is the clothing industry, can you count and see the number of shops which are selling clothes to the market? No, it's very hard. And also the groceries, if you take small groceries, they are uncountable in number. And also the restaurants. So with that we can look for the definition of the monopolistic competition. It's a market situation where a large number of sellers supply differentiated products and where there are no barriers to enter or exit the market. So here, with that, let's look at the features of this particular market structure in detail. First one, large number of sellers. Now as you can see with the examples, you know that in a monopolistically competitive market there are quite a large number of firms producing differentiated or homogeneous or likewise products to the market. So here, although it is large in quantity, it is not large as much as the number of firms in the perfect competition. If you take the perfect competition, it is a huge number of firms. But in the monopolistic competition, it's large but not as large as perfect competition. It's little lesser than the amount of firms in the perfectly competitive market. So therefore, although it is not huge as perfect competition, it's quite a large number. So due to that reason, a single firm will contribute only to a relatively smaller portion of the total market supply if you take the whole industry. Then again, due to that reason, the ability of a single firm to influence the market will be again very minimum because the number of firms are large and individual firm will provide only a small portion of the total market supply. Due to that reason, the power a single firm will possess will be relatively low. Then the next point is the differentiated product. So if you can remember, in a perfectly competitive market, the products are homogeneous. It's almost similar in all the aspects. But in the monopolistically competitive market, the products are differentiated. If you take the saloons, the services provided by, say for example, La Passion will be different to cuts and curls. Likewise, the services provided by different saloons will be little bit different to each other. I know that if you take haircut, it's a haircut, but except how the haircut is done by different saloons will be little bit different to each other. So that's why it says the product, although the product looks like same, there are little bit differentiations among these products. So if you take the restaurants also, the food offered by the food served by different restaurants will be different in their taste. Although if it is a fried rice, the taste of the fried rice will be different from restaurant A to restaurant B. So that's why it says in the monopolistically competitive industry, the products will be differentiated. This will allow the firms to compete based on these differentiated features. So based on that, they can charge a little bit different prices even in the same market, unlike in the perfect competition. As you can recall, in the perfect competition, since the product is homogeneous, no firm can charge any other price other than the equilibrium market price. If they try to change the price, they will lose their survival in the market. But in the monopolistically competitive market, yes, they have the ability to charge a differentiated price based on this differentiation exists among these products. Then the next point is easy to enter and exit from the market. Again, this is connected with the first point. Since there are large number of firms in this market, if you take the size of the firm, it will be quite a small in size. Again, if the size of the firm is small, if you take the initial capital requirement, the amount of technology used, the marketing cost, those will be relatively small. If the initial cost, if the initial investment requirement is little bit low, then the firm can easily enter the market without any barriers. Then the last point is about the firm's demand curve. Here, as you know, there are differentiated products. Still, as consumers, you can find substitutes in this market, but they are not perfect substitutes. They are called close substitutes. They are not identical to each other, but you can somehow or other satisfy your same need with different products, because the basic features will be almost same, but some additional features will be used to differentiate this product. So therefore, in this market you will find close substitutes. So if there are close substitutes, what happens to the consumer choices? Consumers will have a variety of choices in this market. Although at a little bit differentiated price, they will have lot of choices. If there are lot of choices, what would be the demand curve in this in a particular firm in this industry? Here you are. The demand curve is a monopolistically competitive firm is an elastic demand curve. Why does this demand curve become elastic? Because the consumers have a variety of choices. They will react very fast to the changes in prices of these products. If one firm in the industry increases the price, the consumers will move to the other firm which offered the product at a lesser price. Not the same product, but a product which gives you some kind of similar satisfaction. So due to that reason, consumers will react very fast to any changes in the price of the products in this particular market. That's why the firm faces an elastic demand curve. Okay, the next one, or else the last market type is the oligopoly. And before that, I want to tell you, the monopolistic competition is a combination of perfect competition and the monopoly. Here, a separate kind of market structure, which is called the oligopoly. Again, you have some examples for this oligopoly market industries. There you can see the gas industry. How many suppliers are there in the Sri Lankan gas industry? Only 2 main suppliers. Then if you take the mobile phone service suppliers, how many mobile phone suppliers are there in Sri Lankan market? It's a number that you can count and see. Like if you take the number of fingers in your hand, yes, that is like the number of firms will be that much. So you can count and see the number of firms in this oligopoly market. Similar to that, if you take the commercial banks, you can count and list down the number of commercial banks in Sri Lanka. Again, the TV channels or else the mobile phones, same thing applies to them also. So based on that, what are the features of this oligopoly market? It is a market where only few dominating firms, only few, you can count and see, few dominating firms supplying either differentiated or homogeneous products but with barriers to entry and exit from the market. So that is the definition for oligopoly market. So let's look at the features. There you have few number of firms in the market. As I said, you can count and see the number of firms in this particular market, and since the number of firms are limited in this market, each firm will have quite a considerably large portion of the total market share. Unlike in the perfect competition or the monopolistic competition, if you take a firm in the oligopoly market, the firm has quite a large portion of the market share for its own. Then if that is the case, what can you say about the power that particular firm has in this oligopoly market? The powers or the ability to influence by a particular firm will be quite high in the oligopoly market, because if one supplier decides to leave the market, the impact created by that will be, we can feel the impact of the leaving of that firm to the market. So that's why it says the firm is a dominating player in this market. Then again, since there are few number of firms in this market, each firm is supplied quite a large portion of this particular market. The firm could have been a little bit large in size. If the firm is large, then what can you say about the cost of production? The initial capital investment. In order to start up a large firm, yes, you need quite a large initial capital investment, as well as if you are operating at large scale, you can enjoy economies of scale, and therefore you can produce the goods and services at a quite lesser average cost. So due to those reasons, a new firm will be in a difficult situation to enter this market, because if a new firm tries to enter the market, that particular firm will not be able to produce the same good at this low amount of average cost, because the new firm may not be having economies of scale, because it's just a startup. And also, in order to start up such a business, the new firm will require quite a huge amount of initial capital requirement. And also, you can see the license requirement, huge cost for marketing in this particular market structure. So due to those reasons, a new firm will find hard to enter the oligopoly market. Then the next point is differentiated or homogeneous products. So in this particular market, either the product can be differentiated or else again homogeneous. If you look at the Apple phone as with Oppo Ford. Both the Fords looks very similar. So it's almost equal to see these two Fords. But if you take the say toothpaste, again the taste will be, although it is toothpaste, the taste will be different with Flowguard and Signal. So that's why it says either the products offered in this market can be differentiated or homogeneous. If the products are differentiated, that will make more room for the firms to compete based on price as well as non-price among the other firms. Because if the product is differentiated, due to those differentiated features, the firm will have the ability to charge a high price or a lower price, or else they can use those quality features to market their products above the other firms where there are less differentiated features. So making the product differentiate will give the advantage of competing with the other firms. Then let's look at the last point, which is the demand curve. Since there are quite a few number of firms in the market, the consumers may have a lesser choice. They have choice, but it's very less in number. So if they do not have much options, it's unlikely that they would react to any price changes highly. So even though the firm charges a high price, the consumers will not like to shift to another firm due to some quality features or some other aspects of the product, things like that. So therefore, it is said that in general, the oligopolistic firm will face a relatively inelastic demand curve. But what is this then? Again, the demand curve which is faced by the oligopolistic firm is called to be a kinked demand curve. There you can see above point E in this diagram, the demand curve is elastic, and below the point E, the demand curve is relatively inelastic. So even in the same market structure, in the oligopoly, you can see some sub-markets exist in that particular market, particular industry. Because as you know, there are differentiated products. So therefore, there is a market price and there are some firms charging price above the market price, and there are some firms which charge price below the market price. If the firm tries to offer the product above the market price, then those firms will face a relatively elastic demand where they are above the point E, and the set of firms which charge below the market price will face relatively inelastic demand curve where they are lying below the point E, and here the kink will be at the market equilibrium price. So that's why it says, since you can see sub-markets in the oligopoly market, you can see both types of demand curves in the oligopoly market. So that's why it says the demand curve is a kinked demand curve. So then with that, I have finished explaining the basic features of all four market structures, and we can compare the four market structures at once, and it's given here. And you can see by looking at the features, the market structures will vary from perfect competition to monopoly. And if you recall your memory, you can see if you take the number of firms. In the perfect competition, it's very large. Monopolistic competition is large. Oligopoly is few, and in monopoly it becomes only one. If you take the barriers to entry, in perfect competition and monopolistic competition, you don't see any barriers to entry, but in oligopoly, quite strong barriers. In monopoly, very strong barriers. Then the nature of product. In perfect competition, it's homogeneous. Monopolistic competition is differentiated. Oligopoly, combination of differentiated and homogeneous both, and monopoly, only one product, which is a unique product. Then the availability of substitutes. Due to homogeneity, the perfect competition, you have perfect substitutes. In monopolistic competition, you can see close substitutes. Oligopoly, you can see quite a few number of substitutes, but in monopoly, you don't see any substitutes. Then information availability. In perfect competition, there are perfect information at no cost. These two are silence about the information availability, and if you straightforward go to monopoly, you can't get perfect information without cost, so the information is imperfect, and even though those imperfect information, you have to get it at a cost. Then the behavior of price. We will term the firm in a perfect competition as a price taker, where the firm acts according to market price. And monopolistic competition, some control over the price is there due to differentiation of the products. In oligopoly, collective pricing can be seen due to few dominating suppliers in the market. They will come together and agree on a price and agree on a range of price, and within that range they can act accordingly. And if you take the monopoly, the firm is a price maker, which is the one and only person who decides at which price I am going to sell this product in the market. No one else will have the powers to decide the price in the market. Then if you take the last one, the firm's demand curve. In a perfectly competitive firm, the demand curve is perfectly elastic, where the firm has to offer whatever the amount of goods and services offered at the given price. And in monopolistic competition, the demand curve becomes elastic. Oligopoly, it becomes kinked, and in the monopoly, it becomes inelastic. So this is the comparison of the four basic market structures in our lesson. So we will be discussing the behavior of a firm in the perfectly competitive market in detail with the next few lessons. So hope to see you all in the next video. So thank you very much.